Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Broken in the Air. I am trying to do these weekly, regardless rain or shine. I will be taking a short hiatus in the coming weeks, as I have surgery scheduled very soon, so I'll kind of be out of commission.
Why can't you stream from your bed rest?
Yeah, we're not doing stupid questions. So I'm gonna be out for that, but I will have more content coming. And we have a big trip coming in December, so look forward to that. It's the day after Christmas, so things will be looking up and up. But today, thought we'd get back to the meat and potatoes, if you will, of the podcast, of the channel.
And since you all wanted some bang bang shooties...
Okay, and since you like the military exhibits and features, we're going with the A-12 Archangel. So, I'm going to cover the entire story here, as short as it is, unfortunately. It is kind of short. Lasting only about 15 years. Its operational history spans maybe roughly 4 years. Not quite as long as its big brother, the SR-71 Blackbird. It began as a black project for the CIA, but the CIA soon realized that they were not designers and they were not engineers. So they outsourced to Lockheed. Now, not directly, of course. Convair had a design going too after the production of the U-2 and the success there. The success. But Convair's design was inspired. It had a lot of promise and a lot of potential, but the CIA in the end went with Lockheed because it was proven. They had handled black projects before. They had a lot of operational history and stability and resources to throw around. And overall, I found it to be a much more secure overall. It took the designers to basically design the A-12 8 years. Basically, they took the A-11, which is their prototype, and simply adjusted the fin tail and the wings, small as they are. Just a certain, canting about 40 degrees, and by and large, by that point, the CIA was sold. They were like, you got it. And that's where we come up with the sketches.
But isn't that an SR-71 Blackbird?
No. That's a common misconception. Very common. This is the A-12. It's smaller than the Blackbird by about 13 meters. And it can also not fly as high as Blackbird or carry as big a fuel load as Blackbird or a camera load. And there are more examples of this produced than there were of the SR-71.
But why is it black then?
Because black paint reflects the radar coatings.
And out of curiosity, what's it made out of?
Fiber composites, but overall, to help with the radar absorption, thank you. It was coated with titanium and built out of titanium alloy. However, at the time, titanium alloy was sourced by the Titanium Materials Company, or TMC. Not TMZ, that's a show. But TMC, which got it from the largest supplier on Earth, which was, at the time, the USSR. So yes, the plane got titanium from the Soviet Union to spy on the Soviet Union.
Are we sure it wasn't built by Exhibit?
I'm not sure they'll give reference.
We're gonna get the titanium so we can put the titanium to spy on the Russians from the Russians. Yes, convoluted. Kind of like the CIA.
See, while it had Air Force markings, it was flown exclusively by CIA operators.
Well, wasn't it flown by U.S. Air Force people who were contracted by the CIA for black projects? Because they would kind of steal anybody from anywhere.
No, that was only for the test missions. for the actual missions, they had CIA operatives. Like Gary Powers, famed U-2 pilot, was an operator for the CIA.
So, I thought he was Air Force.
No, that was the cover story.
Well,
At one time, he was in the Air Force.
Oh yeah, so they would take them from the Air Force and be like, "Hey,
You want to work for the CIA? No thanks. That wasn't a question.
we'll give you some money." Oh, more money. Okay.
So this was a mock-up model of the A-12 upside down without the top tail fins, in order to test the radar absorption quality, the RAM material quality of the plane. See, there was the operator's truck over here, net test over here, and yeah.
So it also worked as a poor man's wind tunnel, right?
Sort of, but it's easy to say this thing went through more testing phases than active flying missions.
And was this one of the reasons that Nellis Air Force Base went on a certain level of Area 51?
The two are different things. Area 51 is about 50 miles north of Nellis.
No, but they own the whole area, so...
No, the Air Force owns the whole area.
No. But this was an incredibly black project in the way, I'm guessing the way it flew, the way it took off, the way it looked.
Oh yeah, this was at Area 51.
Aliens!
Yeah. It certainly fueled the suspicion.
And of course the CIA is not going to do anything to stop that.
No, it actually suited their purposes.
Oh yeah.
This was the design team of the A-12. You have test pilots in the front, chief designer in the center, and assistant designers and military officer corps in back. So, this is the existing A-12s in storage. They were first put into storage. Notice the wrappings on the engine cones, on the side panels, on the cylinders, on the cockpit. Now, that happened because the A-12s had been decommissioned. Why were they decommissioned? Because the Korean and Vietnamese were getting their technology from the Russians, which at the time were the USSR, the Soviet Union, which meant the SA-2 and thereby the SA-29 guideline missiles were getting a lot better, could lock on a lot faster, could travel farther, could travel faster, and meant the A-12 and the SA-1 by conjecture were no longer safe.
And weren't they also going for satellite pictures at that time?
Yeah, that was what ultimately doomed them too. The satellite recon was becoming en vogue at the time. It was all the rage. Both nations would have satellite reconnaissance overhead, and it became a game of who can shoot out the next one satellite. And that was taken out by ground-to-air missiles.
So it became dead even more than the cannon on fighter jets.
Oh yeah, except cannon and fighter jets we still use.
Right, but at the time, specifically of Vietnam, it was like, we're not going to need these anymore.
Yeah, that's a bit of a different subject, which we've already covered a bit.
But it's the same way with the military.
Well, sort of. I mean, this was mainly designed for high-speed, long-range, long-distance recon, and could no longer fulfill that role because it's no longer a safe plane to fly.
Well, I'm changing the picture. Don't we actually get to see it in Call of Duty Black Ops? Because I think there's a part where you go in a...
I've never played Black Ops.
Oh. There's a part in the SR set where you're in the SR-71 or the A-12 taking pictures from the ground and doing... I'll have to find the video.
I'm sure y'all can find the video on YouTube. You're already here. Press a little tappy and you're there. So, yeah. This is actually a photo of the A-12 as it exists today at the Intrepid Air and Space Museum in Manhattan. See, west side of Manhattan, downtown in the distance here. But what I want to call your attention to are the fact that the slope panels here are all radar reflecting. Now we use a absorption. But at the time, the A-12 used radar reflecting panels, and only like about 10 to 15% radar absorption. Very interesting, because it was thought that titanium could pretty much do whatever they wanted it to do. But, I mean, titanium was effective at high speed and high altitude because it heated up and became more flexible, more malleable to expand and contract as needed.
And is that why the A-12 and the SR-71 leaked to high hell?
Linked to hell.
Leaked.
Well,
The gas.
I mean, the 71 did, but the A-12 did not. In my research, there was no reports of the A-12 leaking anywhere. However, at least 3 A-12 crashes were recorded. They were all test crashes. One crash because of improper maintenance. Because the maintenance engineer had installed the controller to the flash ailerons in the reverse.
He installed them backwards.
Yeah.
And how much did each one of these planes cost?
In 2023 dollars, we're talking maybe 2.8 billion.
And how much did they cost at the time?
Oh God, 387 million.
So, because of a little oopsie, 387 million and, oh, let's go, a $500 to $1 billion pilot died too. Or was there 2?
3 crashes, 2 deaths, 1 ejection.
Super!
On the second one, the pilot was crushed to death by his own ejection device. The M21, the drone carrier, because the A-12 was adapted as a drone carrier later on.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
The meant to carry the D-21 supersonic recon drone, which was actually more effective than the A-12 in the first place. Also by Lockheed.
You get a couple pictures of that later, don't you?
Yes, they're coming up. They actually crashed into the sea off the coast of San Diego. And a pilot died.
Super!
I'm afraid what you see on display at various museums is pretty much the extent of the A-12s that exist today. The A-12s I just showed you in storage were when they were first put in storage at the Palmdale facility for Lockheed in California.
Is this one of the test flyers?
Yes. This is it coming into land. Notably gear deploying. And the altitude decreasing here.
Also, is it just me or do the intake cones look exactly like the front of a MiG?
Where do you think we got it?
That's, no, that makes sense.
Or I should say, where do you think we got the idea? Because they found out on the MiG-21, especially, if they make the nose pointy, they can go faster.
And it also forces the air in to the intakes right around the cone.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm guessing the engines were direct route. From the nose cone intake, it goes straight back, 1 to 1.
Oh yeah, because the air goes in through here, forms a vortice around here, and then gets channeled and ejected through the turbofan on the back.
Or would they be a scramjet?
No, this is typical turbofan.
Okay.
So this one we actually saw in person. This
We'll
is
give a link below.
yeah. This is the A-12 on display at the Los Angeles Science Center. This is obviously demilitarized and can't fly in any way, shape, or form. Put on a permanent stand for safe display. This is the actual
And mislabeled.
yeah. This is actually the trainer version because I mean you can tell it's an A-12 too because it's shorter than the SR-71. But you can tell it's a trainer version because it has 2 cockpits. Trainer would sit up here, pilot sits down here.
And in the video, we're actually standing on that ramp to the left.
Yes.
Or to the right.
Over here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you
Because
see
there
it
were
and be-
3 versions of the A-12 created. There was the trainer version, the main recon version, which was the supposed to be the mass production version. Obviously, mass production did not happen. And the M21 version, which was the drone carrier version.
Didn't they also talk about making it into a nuclear bomber?
No, they talked about making it into an interceptor
Ah, that's right.
called the YF-12. That didn't happen. After the A-12 more or less failed as a recon plane. Oh, this is, by the way, is the D-21, the drone itself. This was carried on top of the M21, aka the A-12. And this had a maximum speed of Mach 2.3.
So basically, it fired off like an upper missile.
Oh, yeah. And it was actually meant to be a single-purpose recon drone, meant to photograph the enemy area and send data back to headquarters, and then explode.
Oh, single use. You said single purpose.
Single use. Now, eventually, they did create a D-21 toward the end of its life that was meant to return to base. But that never really happened. That was also around the time they switched the M21, retired that, and made the B-52 bomber, of all things, into a drone carrier. And they would mount twin D-21s under the wings of the B-52.
So basically, you used the same thing as what was it? There was a carrier plane. So they were like parasite planes, almost.
Sort of, except parasite planes had actual human pilots.
Right.
So, I was just talking about B-52 being a drone carrier. This is a perfect example. This is B-52 taking on fuel and training with 2 D-21 drones. One drone is here, the other drone is on the other side. This photograph was taken through a KC-135 Strata tanker. Basically, the drones, I mean, they technically could take off by themselves, but it was found to be more effective if they had a takeoff assist from plane.
Yeah, because you already have them up there, it wastes less fuel, plus they don't have to worry about the controlling from the takeoff.
Oh, yeah. Plus, it was found they could not reach supersonic speed if they took off of themselves.
Not enough fuel.
They would use up a lot of the fuel on the ascent, and they could not reach maximum speed.
Which,
This way, they would have the entire drone control interface in the cockpit.
and this way it was kind of like didn't they talk about dropping tomahawks this way or something?
They talked about it, but that led to the drag and drop system.
Right, yeah. But that's a whole nother thing. We could get into all
Yeah.
that military stuff one time or another.
So this is the M21 version of the A-12. Note the D-21 drone mount on the back. This has just taken on fuel from a KC-135 and is drifting off. Note the KC-135's boom in the upper right. And the fuel hatch has yet to be sealed, so it's about to be sealed in a second, and then it'll drift off there. It's at about 42,000 feet right now.
That's the last picture.
That's okay. Of course, as usual, we had Pratt & Whitney developing the engines for the A-12. As they were a standardized military contractor.
And I assume all the companies building this were sworn to some level of secrecy upon pain of death and treason.
Well, they weren't, not in those exact words, but yeah, more or less.
And paid oodles of money.
More or less, yeah. They're the employees you see boarding unmarked planes at Vegas airport and returning each day to LAX, because otherwise, can't really get to work. But those planes will lead them to Area 51. Nowadays, we don't have any real use for high-flying aircraft. We still have U-2 in service. It makes occasional flights when deemed appropriate, But overall, we seem to prefer satellites more than anything else. Right now, we have over 500 recon satellites in orbit.
And the only reason this SR-71 and the A-12 even became somewhat popular was thanks to X-Men.
More or less, yeah, that's what plunged them into pop culture. I mean, it is a very good-looking aircraft. Just simultaneously ahead and behind its time.
Well, it was also kind of a singular purpose.
Well, and once it outlived its usefulness as a recon plane, the Air Force wanted to develop it into an interceptor, but they found out that once it had in fact outlived its usefulness, it had no longer any real need for it. They wanted to develop it to succeed the F-105, but by that point in time, they were already developing things like the F-16, the F-15, which suited the changing scope of battle much better.
Right. Well, and wouldn't strapping like bombs and missiles onto it, or specifically missiles and the guns and everything, kind of defeat the purpose of the radar?
Cameras weigh a lot less than missiles and bombs, and the radar cross section is a lot bigger when you have missiles and bombs. Is you can paint those missiles and bombs black all you want. It doesn't defeat the radar signature.
That's why they're doing it. They did an internal bomb bay or internal weapons bay on the F-35
and the F-22. They can mount ordnance externally on pylons, but the radar cross section will go from here to here. From itty tiny to.
I mean, if we want to talk about the F-22 next time, that thing had a short lifespan too. It's already considered a...
I do have a blog about that out. We can always incorporate that too. But, I mean, the F-22 is still under an export ban because, God forbid, anyone should look at our technology, our now
including our allies.
Yeah, our now 3-decade-old technology. But apparently F-22 is still the top fighter out there. Succeeded only by F-35. But we're getting off track, so I think I'll stop it there. This was the A-12 for this week. I do encourage you to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Please start comments and discussion and dialogue in the bottom. And please don't leave comments like, "Oh, you're so pretty, I want to bang you, I want to do all that." No, that tells me nothing. That's irrelevant and not pertaining to the subject at hand.
If we are incorrect on any information, please let us know. We will address it, but we can't address if anything's wrong if you guys don't tell us.
Don't watch me out of pity. I mean, I'm thankful for any views, of course. But I want you to be engaged with material. I mean, the material was carefully curated and researched by me, and I struggled to get this stuff out on time for you guys. I love doing it. I love bringing you guys information on travel, vacations, military videos, especially to, like, that's popular. Anything you guys want as far as that goes. But please show us a little bit of appreciation. I asked for that. I mean, not a whole lot.
Show decorum, show some level of respect, because, you know, she could continue to cover nothing but boring old crappy civilian planes. In fact, we could cover the crappiest planes there are just on a matter of punishment.
I mean, there really aren't any real well, there are some, yeah.
Yeah, there are.
We'll see. Anyway, guys, I will see you later. I love you all. We'll see you in the air. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And I love you so much. I'll be back in a couple weeks.